Hello, namaste, and welcome to Agile Exploration Hub. I'm your host Nagesh. Today we have a very big day, a big podcast coming up. Today is our 25th episode. So then you know, I was thinking what to do, and there are so many thoughts coming up. I'm discussing with all former speakers that been part of this journey, and thanks to all those speakers so far, I have reached 25th episode. So a lot of people, including speakers, have said that you're doing so many things, and coming till 25th episode is a big achievement, and I feel so, yes, because consistency is key here. So I thought of like what can be the topic, what can we discuss, and all that. So we brainstorm. We talk. Um, we got few topics in between. Someone said talk on this that, but then one prominent topic that really came, and then we finalize is about Agile Manifesto. Yeah. So we know all. So 17 highly professional, highly experienced professional went for a skiing resort, and they in 2001, and then they come up with the Agile Manifesto. And even in 2024, we are following that. We reading, is it like a holy book, and then we follow those principles and values. So we decided let's revisit this Agile Manifesto, and let's see how the things have been changed, or not changed, uh, how we have learned something, and how we have missed something from that, and how is AI or some other practices like mindfulness and organization cultures are getting uh, utilized as well as misutilized during this journey. So today we have not one, not two, we have five, special speakers. One by one, I'll introduce all of them. Let's welcome Ankur, Jaspal, Vikas, Saroj, and Meghna. Welcome, all of you. Namaste. So, how are you guys doing?
Very well. Excited.
So,
Amazing.
first of all, again, I will say thanks a lot, all of you. Only because of you, I am here. I have reached this big milestone, and thanks for again contributing for this topic. I know this is a very interesting topic. We are almost each one of you, one of us, I will say, have read Agile Manifesto. We're trying to follow it. So, uh, first of all, why we are discussing Agile Manifesto? Jaspal.
Yeah, you're putting me on a spot right now.
No, I have to. I have to.
Yeah. So, okay, that's a very a question which is very close to my heart actually, because I often think about this the moment, we get going with getting to do something and delivering value to business, right? So if we may, recall Agile Manifesto, it dates back to February 2020, 2001. Yeah. Snowbird Resort in Utah, US. 17 visionaries or thought leaders coming together. By the way, I had a privilege to exchange one on one messages with one of the thought leaders, Jim Highsmith. That was absolute pleasure when I got to, interact with him one on one. Of course, through LinkedIn, but it was a privilege. I actually came across his book, Wild West to Agile, and just blew up my mind and made me reach out to him. And okay, going back to the question, like why Agile Manifesto and why we need to revisit it, sort of. So, if we look at the whole manifesto, the history tells us why it was crafted in the first place, right?
Mm.
People saw uh, delivery lags, people moving away from what was requested, or you did not see value being delivered, hundreds of thousands of dollars being lost, so on and so forth, right? Forget about the painful experiences the teams had to face. So, essentially, when we look at the manifesto, it was designed to be flexible, people first. And, these thought leaders, they thought of bringing to the fore some of the frameworks and methodologies that they were using. For example, Ken Beck and Ken Schwaber and Jeff Sutherland, they had their own practices being used, right? Alistair Cockburn had his crystal, and all of these thought leaders, they brought together these ideas which were working. And then they thought, let's not run the shops in isolation. Let's bring it together. They came there, brainstormed for a few days, and ultimately, what we saw boiled down into a beautiful charter for all of us, whoever is in the software industry. Uh, this charter is nothing but, I can call it as the holy book or the holy charter, wherein you have 4 core values which are still true,
Right.
and the 12 principles which keep guiding the teams, right? And again, if we want to look at why we want to revisit, primarily it's basically something that I experience, and maybe many of you would agree, or most of you would agree. Somewhere there is some disconnect we are observing, from the core values. Teams and organizations, they say they are following agile, but they tend to drift away.
Right.
So it's. I personally believe it's our prime responsibility as agilists to go back, tell to the teams, to the organizations that, hey, this is the charter and this is why we are following it. And this is the spirit why it was written, right? And I believe if we really look at honoring it,
Mm.
there's no, what you say, uh, excuse to be cited that, okay, this was written in 2001, it's 20 plus years old now, needs to be rewritten, so on and so forth. I can bet you, even if you sit and read it today, it fits the purpose for use. It fits every corner of, I would say, any anything that you do. Just remove the word software, it fits well. Yeah. So I
Great.
think these are the core things, Nagesh. I mean, why it was written, we know, and we need to revisit primarily so many things. We don't want to have mechanized agile practices being around. We don't want burnout and stress. Yeah, and this being people first charter, I think revisiting it and following it to its true core, to its true spirit, helps everyone.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, Meghna, your views on this one?
Sure. So, first and foremost, as Jaspal rightly started with, so what was coined in 2001 and then just got better over the years. And very recently, we had a newer release of it and so on. However, there are important things to note. There's a lot of disruption that's there since the time the manifesto was first coined. And while with all this disruption, which is changing our ways of working, some things are here to stay. And you will find that again and again in product development, whether it's software or whether it's something else. For example, it's important to understand and imbibe that in ways of working, that customer continues, the intended user continues to be the center of everything that we do. And of course, the other things in the manifesto and its core values as well. So honestly, what has remained as a timeless guidance is the manifesto and its core values. Maybe there has been a change in our context. So bringing these two things together, for example, when you work with distributed teams, now communication always was the heart and soul of a successful team working. And now you have to be a little bit more creative with your distributed teams. That's about it. However, communication still continues to be important, and that definitely continues to drive the team spirit. And innovation to the core, we see a lot of that, and especially in the last 4 years since the pandemic, we have seen a lot of things changing. So
Absolutely.
I would say it's a very interesting juncture that we are at when we have something which has been our reference for all these years. Let's get that and the context together, and we will for sure have interesting ways of working. It's just about a blend of these two. So the core values, the manifesto by itself, and the different context that we are in, which was not the same when things started out.
Great. Nice.
I think beautifully put by Meghna. Thanks for sharing, about disruption and so forth. In my chat with Jim Highsmith, we also touched upon this very thing. Jim is now 80 plus, by the way, and he's still going strong with tours around the world. And if you guys have not read the book, please read his book. It's wonderful, Wild West to Agile, and very, very aptly put by Meghna. I think ways of working may change here and there, but the core remains, right? Collaboration, communication, for example. How do you establish trust? That psychological safety within the teams. It won't come around unless and until you have trust in place, you have good communication in place. Methods and means may change. Today we have Zoom, and
Yes.
thankfully, I would say it's a blessing in disguise. I mean, look at the conversation we are having today. Ankur is in Mumbai. The four of us are in Pune. Meghna is in Bangalore, and we are still able to seamlessly talk to each other, connect, and I believe the core behind this still is what's in the manifesto, but the means or how we are connecting is changed. Maybe that's fine, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
Nagesh,
yeah, yeah,
back
yeah,
to
yeah.
you.
There's a lot of change. Yes, absolutely. So uh, one of the change that I would like to ask Saroj is like what was the thing when people start putting people ahead of process. So what's your views on that? You know, the earlier and the now. So Jaspal brought topic of Zoom. Okay, so can you put some light on that when people are putting more focus on people instead of process?
Yeah. So first of all, I like to emphasize on one thing. So people are the most important asset in any organization.
Right.
So because they are the people, they are the things, they are delivering the things, they get the things done, and processes are the medium through which the work get done. So they are there to help people, but people comes first always. And Jaspal rightly mentioned that we need to foster psychological safety within teams, and it is important that at enterprise level this culture of psychological safety is being adapted. And also the people should be given, they should be empowered to take decision. And in my opinion, it should be people who define processes rather than you create or impose processes on them, because they are processes are there to help these people.
Hmm.
So I think, yeah, back in the industry earlier, there were too rigid processes, and people they have to follow them. We all follow. We have our rules and regulation in our organization. Within the, if you say in agile way of working, also we have certain Scrum events which we just follow it.
Right.
And so it's not. It's important that we should have these processes, but we need to tailor them as per the context of the team. And So a few examples I would say which I have experienced in my team, in my organization, where we made people important over processes. So we were working in one of my organization in Scrum way of working. So we know that there are 5 Scrum events, and then there was one of the colleague who was like struggling with uh, his personal lives. There are certain personal issues. So there was most of the time he was not able to meet the commitment and meetings and all events, was not able to attend them. So see, if you go by processes, you will make such person to comply with these rules, follow the events, follow the deadline, make your commitment fulfill. But then there is another angle. Okay, you can lead by empathy. So so there was an open discussion done. I have done it when I was agile practitioner. Along with we team also had this discussion. So there was trust in the team. So that trust was inculcated, and then there was open discussion. Okay, there is certain issues. So the team was collaborated well, and the workload was shared with other team members. Few of the events which he was not able to join, so we gave them that give him that liberty that okay, just inform and then it will be fine. And so that way the proper collaboration and the team, the person itself who was having this trust on us, like he could share his personal issues, and then we also took care of it. So okay, process says that okay, you have to be there in every meeting, you have to commit what you have to deliver whatever committed, but people come first. And then there was this person was like, after this issue was resolved, was very happy, continued with this organization for a very long time, also started performing well. So one of this was the incident where we put a person before the processes. Another one which I want to cite is uh, they were the onboarding process. We know that how rigid these onboarding processes are for every organization. For our team also, it happened, and one of the senior person who joined was made to go through those onboarding processes, but that used to take 1 month or so. So what we did is, after those mandatory trainings of the organization, we directly absorbed this person in the team. We did a iterative training mode where uh, other team members collaborated, and they identified the few important training that this person can do. Along with, we also started involving the senior person in our pair programming way. This person would sit with one of the developers, see how the work gets done. We started allocating him the work. So this way, it happened like the process says, okay, no, you have to complete 1 month training and then join the team and then understand their processes. But no, here we change it a little bit. The person itself, after that person, this senior person, felt included in the team within couple of days after mandatory training of the organization, and he was part of the team, started performing well, started contributing well before the time. The client was happy, this person was also happy, and we got this outcome, and we started delivering more. So these two incidents which I want to share, like, we need to lead with empathy, the agile practitioner, and people should come first, and processes should be amended. They shouldn't be that rigid. Yeah.
Great story. Yeah, great examples. Yeah. So now we discussed. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I like this term, Saroj, lead by empathy. That is very much important, actually.
True.
In fact, I was reading one article where we say about the culture. The culture envisioned by a top leadership, and to reach it to the bottom of the pyramid, the middle management is an enabler. We have to empower them so that they can also take some decisions and gain some trust of the team member. The other part is, when we talk about autonomy, the people and processes, fine. I mean, processes are just a guardrails, basically. And I'll give you an example. This week only, yeah, I was in one of the meeting, and then the team were discussing something was broken, and then they asked me what Agile says there. I asked them, you tell me what you will do to fix that. oh, we can do this, this, and that. Yeah, this is agile. The first line in that manifesto is we uncovered the better way of developing the software. They're not deciding anything. But what happened, just because a lot of enthusiasm or over enthusiasm, people, they started setting up wrong expectation with the agile. They feel,
Absolutely.
oh, when agile coach is here, a scrum master is here, they have some magic potion, they'll add in everybody's food, and then suddenly will become agile. It's a process, right? It's a process, and you need to gain trust. And then gaining trust is not an easy thing, because when we say we are working with human. So one thing I recently, I mean, I tried here, I tried in my previous organization, it always worked. So I joined first meeting and I see from the, just go, people started discussing, oh, I'm working on RTE 5545. Fine. Why you are talking in SKY word? Just say what you have done. And then manager, they're asking, okay, what you didn't, what didn't, gone, nothing. Then I set up a series, name, how are you doing? That's it. And there are two rules. Your camera should be on and no project related discussion. And then people, they started opening up. Here, I just started recently. So, I mean, it will take time, but my previous engagement, people started opening up. They started sharing their problem. Otherwise, the silence is a killer. If they are not speaking, that's the main problem. So they started, maybe not in the forum initially, but they started telling me one-on-one. So, and then, first meeting, they told me there is no reward and also what the hard work we are doing and all. So I said, fine. I took that to my program manager. I asked him, this is what team need, and you have to give it to them. Otherwise, they'll not trust me also. And
Right.
he asked me, and the manager was, the program manager was also a good leader. He said, okay, come up with a plan and let's do it. And within 5 minutes, I mean, once I come up with the proposal, within 5 minutes, he approved that. And that's how I got the confidence. So the middle management, if we are not enabling them or empowering them to, do something for their reportees and all, their reportees will not trust them. And then they'll bypass them. And then that will be a chaos. But at the same
Absolutely.
time, when we say autonomy is good, but it should come with some accountability. There should be a balance. Just an example, I mean, you'll not give your car to your 5-year-old kid, just, motivate him, right? Because he or she is not, ready to drive a car. So there was, I started this thing, no Friday meeting. The guideline was very clear. You want a no meeting in a calendar Friday, fine. But I want the communication should flow. So update your Jira comments, and in the team channel, there was a group. Post your updates or any blocker, anything which needs urgent attention, post there. Two Fridays team did. Third Friday, they didn't do that. That's fine. Fourth Friday, the bridge is open. The people who are not updating their comments on Jira or that post, come and join the bridge. So autonomy comes with accountability also. You cannot just give autonomy to somebody, and when they are not taking accountability of that independence. So it's a balance. But, when sometimes we become too obsessed about one side of thing, we say, okay, isko to karna hi padega. But we need to find a balance. Right?
Well said. Absolutely well said. Yeah. Yes, Ankur, you want to add anything?
I think everyone has already spoken, and very great examples, very good examples that I have been hearing. I will just add two examples to it, if in a very short one. Okay. Collaboration is something that we have been talking about, and we started practicing it in our team. As a role, we are kind of sales, pre-sales kind of people, and there are people in our team, almost 6 to 7 people. Okay, and their experience range, if you will understand, is right from 25 years to 1 year or less than 1 year. Okay, they all have different roles. Okay, but whenever we win something, okay, we do a cake cutting, and in that cake cutting, it is a team which is doing a cake cutting. It is not an individual who has won it or who has performed it. Okay, and that is where we have set the example for a particular region, the way we are focusing on that region. It is one team which is there. Okay, while internally we might have some rules, but for the outside world and internally, It is either we win together or we lose together. Okay, there is no individual thing which is happening. So now for anything and everything, there are 6 to 7 energies which are working on at any point of time, even if they are not contributing directly. It is an indirect way of promoting that yes, somebody is working over a weekend. I will ensure that I at least I'm not doing a partying on that weekend, and I am available if that person needs my help. Okay, so that kind of culture has been developed. That is one. Second thing, then the way Vikas was explaining, it is not my idea. It was started by my senior. Okay, we did a session where we are going to talk about not our professional life in 20 minutes through pictures. Okay, and it is only and only your personal life which we don't know. I don't want to know about your BTech, MBA, whatsoever, how many technologies you have worked on. Okay, that all talks in your resume or on your LinkedIn. I'm sure that is updated. I can go and read it. Tell me something which you are. So we came to know that there are people from Shivaji the Great family who are working with us. We had no clue. Okay, there are people who have really swam for 27 kilometers in our next to Mumbai. Okay, from one island to another one. There are people who have played at a national level of cricket and we were not knowing it. Okay, so it gives an impact that okay, we all are in IT, but apart from IT, what we are doing, and now we and that is what is a self bonding that has happened. So that is few examples that we have been on the ground trying to practice. Not everything is started by me, but yes, it is wherever you get. That is what Agile, I feel that wherever you get a good thing, take it up and try to spread it as an Agile coach or as a coach, that so that it can be taken up by in future.
I'll take 1 minute, Nagesh, just to tell. So recently I attended one small, it was like a small session by Management 30 group. So they talked about personal maps, it's like something similar to mind map. And that
Hmm.
personal map is actually a good idea to start when to those ice breaking sessions where people are sharing, sit on the between, and then what all different things he or she is doing. So it's a good, I mean, if anybody wants to go Management 30, you can find the personal map.
Great. That's a great information. Yeah. So uh, you all brought topic of culture. So culture is very important here. So how it plays the um, role in agile, that's we are going to discuss now. But my way of looking at it is like Vikas said, middle management should be encouraged, should be empowered to do those things, as well as the team who are actually working on those. They should feel psychologically very safe. They can say something which is working, which is not working, which is helping them, which is not helping them, something which is feel them having emotions of burnout. So those things also plays a crucial part when culture on agile processes. So what are our views on culture as such, as a first of all as a team, first of all as a and then the second is organization.
Mhm.
So Saroj, Vikas, uh, feel free to share your views on culture.
So, in my opinion, team culture is my favorite topic. So, team culture is that it's a foundation that
Mm.
allows agile practices to thrive. And one of the quote which I remember, which Larry Sen, she is a pioneer in the field of corporate culture. She said, like, culture is not an initiative. Culture is an enabler of all initiatives. Okay. Similarly, we have Brian Chesky, who is co-founder of and CEO of Airbnb, says culture is simply a shared way of doing something with a passion. So, culture somewhere matters a lot. So, team culture is very important. As a team, we need to have trust, collaboration. We talk about it. We need to have adaptability within the team as a culture of continuous improvement. So, all this team culture should be there in order to adapt to the agile mindset and then embrace your agile manifesto. But trust, all this culture, team culture, somewhere it is derived from your organization culture. So somewhere your leadership also has to accept or embrace this agile practices. What is the way of working? If it is not agile, so what else? What they believe in, and what kind of culture they are setting up? It boils down to the team level. So team culture is very important. So trust and the psychological safety, we talk about it. It is very important. Vikas has given a very good example. How would someone trust on another person? You need to fulfill or meet their expectation. If they have complained about something, if the team members are not happy about something, so we as a agile practitioner or middleman, what we are doing? So trust and then psychological safety, that okay, the voice is being heard without anybody getting backfired. I think that culture of trust and psychological safety in the team, it is very important. Then only we can think that okay, they can go and work on agile principle, agile manifesto they will adapt. Then there should be a culture of collaboration rather than competition. So team member should be uplifting each other rather than working in silos, or maybe in retrospecting blaming each other for any failure. So that kind of culture is also required. Then how good the team is in adaptability, changing the plan, and then changing whatever the changes comes in between. If we talk about agile, so in middle of the sprint, if some changes come up and customer require it, how good we are adapting to it, how resilient the team members are. And apart from this, the team culture of continuous improvement. So it shouldn't be. So everyone has to adapt to new scale, find out new techniques to deliver quality work. So this is also culture of continuous improvement that any team should imbibe. But all these things boils down like what that organization culture is. So first, that leadership has to be trained, or they should be having that mindset. If you're saying agile mindset or mindset of culture, they should be letting it, or uh, imbibing their team to it. They should have an organization policy or organization goal. So all that culture it boils down to the team level. So yeah, so these are my views about culture, team culture.
Great. So I have I've created one situation for Vikas. So Vikas. So that, as we are talking about culture, now let's assume that uh, team is only focused on delivery, coding, testing, and all that. Okay. And there's a change in middle management, as you mentioned, or a senior leadership, and now how this they are focusing on delivery. Things are changing very fast pace. Now how are they going to embrace this cultural change that is being brought up? Because if I go to an organization, I always will try to bring something good to that organization, good for my team. And not always these teams or these people will recognize whether this is good for me or bad. So your views, Vikas.
Okay. Uh, yeah, sure. I'll attempt to answer. So the one thing is, whenever we try to bring any change, we need to use human language. What we do is, whenever we talk about agile also, first of all, most, and again, a lot of misconception about agile. When people talk about agile, they think they know agile, and for them agile is the delivery part only. They forget the planning part. Okay, they think, okay, Scrum is agile, that's it, done. Forget about design thinking, they forget about other thing and all, building the thing right. But there is one thing is whether you're building the right thing. That's the one thing. The another is, as Saroj mentioned, about flexibility. Agile is basically the flexibility so that you can respond to those changes quickly, efficiently, and that is what business need. But we have codified into different framework and all, and that is causing a problem. And that is what it is bringing, because when we talk to people, we say story points. So they're confused. They think, okay, I'm adding story point, I'm measuring velocity, I'm doing everything right, I should get the right result. Not happening, because you're not doing it properly. But now how you can encourage them to do properly, tell them the story behind story point. Okay. This week only, this week only. I have a lot of examples. So we're talking about cycle time. So one of the Scrum Master, he was using the cycle time, and he had this understanding. While measuring cycle time, should measure the time spent in done state also, not the active workflow, done state. So I tried to explain him. But he was not ready to understand. Then I asked him, okay, tell me, you started from Swargate in Shivneri to Dadar. It took you 4.5 hours to reach Dadar. And then your bus was, parking for 1.5 hours at Dadar station. What will you tell to your friends how much time you take from Swargate to Dadar? He said 4.5 hours. That is your cycle time.
Exactly.
Why you're measuring at sand? That is already in parking now. It is not. So if you, but then he realized, yes, because the debate started, he wanted to use some plugin. I said, you can generate the Jira, the control charts and all. But when we had this conversation, because when you start, and Agile is common sense. It's a common sense.
Absolutely.
Our
Absolutely.
investor, everybody, they said, thoda karo, thoda kao, and all those things. Agile is saying the same thing, basically. It's a common sense. So when we talk to people in that, and then we do not claim like we'll change thing in a day. Start small. With the small changes, go for small win. That you'll gain some confidence from the people, from the leadership, and then you can experiment. And I think Meghna mentioned in the beginning, experiment. That is the most important thing, because and another word she mentioned about context. So you cannot just copy paste what something work for Spotify will work for Google also. No, the context is different, the situation is different, people are different. So we need to understand the context, change our messaging, and see who is there. Then there is another thing is the team composition. If you have a Gen Z, you need to talk in Insta and TikTok language.
Agree.
Right?
Absolutely agree.
If you have the all 25, 30, then you have to talk with the processes, proper jargons, use, because they are very particular about things. So these are the things when you have the right communication with the right people in the right format, people change.
Absolutely. So the one example I would like to give on Gen Z. So it happens in Bangalore, and we were at a conference in a engineering college, and I was representing my community over there, and I had to give a presentation on what my community does. So all previous topics are like pretty technical, in depth, and all that. We are a software development company, we are a training provider company, we provide this and that and all that. And I observed, and I realized that most of the students were sit there. They were not willing to sit there. They were not interested to understand, because for them, maybe this is the future, but not today. This is not the present for them, right? Because they may go and join in IT organization, but not today. Today they want some fun, and I, like Vikas rightly said, I grabbed that opportunity when I went onto stage, and then I had to present about my community. I brought a topic of, how many of you use how many of you uh, use TikTok or Instagram. I gave example of Instagram, and then the that game, that famous game where you get the chicken dinner. What was that game?
PUBG, I know.
PUBG. Yes.
PUBG is
So
high.
so I brought a topic of PUBG, and I got the biggest cheer in that entire conference, that because all of the students were immediately able to connect with me, because I said that you using PUBG, and then how this PUBG works. You are talking, you are interacting with your friend. You're not playing, even if it is a multiplayer game. You are not bored. You are not playing with someone who is unknown, or you don't know what is their emotions, reactions from other side. When you are talking, when you're listening to them, and that's the technology change that is have happened. And why did it happen? Because of people like you, the young generation. you know so the in old days, we might have thought that this kind of game can be built, but technology was not supporting. But even when this technology started supporting, we were not reluctant to do that change in the game. Someone must have brought it. A younger generation person might have brought it. So this kind of a change also brought in, bring the change into the organization and their product thinking and all those things. So yes, the context is very important. Like we said, you have to mold yourself. You have to change your game according to the people you are dealing with. So that's the one story that I remember, and I would like to.
And by the
Nagesh,
way,
sorry.
Yeah, Ankur.
by the way, Nagesh, you actually practiced agility right here.
Right, right.
Considering
Change.
considering what was there in front of you, you did not stick to your plan, but you changed your plan, right?
Absolutely,
So yeah, good example of being agile there, right? Like
absolutely.
Vikas was mentioning, agile is everywhere around. So
Yeah, again, and then
it's
I
not
totally
just
agree.
within
Yeah,
the frameworks that we follow and so forth.
yes, and I absolutely go with this thing. Agile is common sense. You
Yes,
have to you have to use very basic common sense when you are working with the people. You know,
absolutely.
yeah, you need not to follow the rule book here, because people will resist to that. People will push back. So
See,
if something is, yeah,
unfortunately, what happens is the story of cargo cult, all of us know, right? That plays a very big role because as human beings, we are creatures of habit. And since we are habitual in doing certain things in a certain way, we continue doing it. And suddenly somebody brings in a change, we resist.
right.
We don't want to change, right? And
Mhm.
when you look at ways of working, I mean, going back to the manifesto again, and since you talked about culture initially here, a few minutes ago when we started this discussion. So, culture, I mean, if you look at the manifesto, culture played a big role there in the background. Why were people burnt out? Why the requirements took long? Why the requirements were not delivered the way they were documented, so on and so forth, right? And if you look at the IT industry as whole, go back and check the history. We have adopted processes blindly from automobile and manufacturing industry, right? Taylorism, for example, and then uh, you know CMM levels and this and that. What happened?
Absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
When you are forcing certain things on human beings, that too for a job that you're supposed to do with your brain, you have to be absolutely taking care of well-being of that person first. And when I say well-being, it is like you're doing thinking, right? When you're
Hmm.
writing code, when you're automating things, you're not doing anything with your hands and legs. You're you're thinking, you're talking, you're collaborating, you're sharing ideas, right? And anything can happen. Like I recall one quote by Jeff Bezos, which he had very famously said, if you're going to take big bets, they are all experiments. And then
Hmm.
they turn into, big things for you. Look at Amazon and look at what Apple did or whatever other big players they did, right?
Right,
And
right.
the late CEO of Zappos, Tony Hsieh, he also said something like, for individuals, character is destiny. For organizations, culture is destiny. Simple,
Would like to add
very
one
simple.
more thing. It triggered thought, and Nagesh, I think you might need to record for 2 hours now because it's a very interesting topic. So, you know what, when we talk about culture, we need to think one more thing, basically where we sit in the society. So
Hmm.
if you go 10, 15 years back, if we talk about Maslow hierarchy of need, that time in the Indian society, we were basically at the bottom line. We were facing a physiological need.
Hmm.
But now, because of our parent hard work and all, we don't have those troubles. Now we are at P3 level where we are looking for psychological. I mean, I'm okay to get maybe 5 lakhs less, but I need a work-life balance. So
Yeah.
Right.
people they are interested in that, and that's just Paul mentioned about the old reward incentive carrot and stick model, they borrowed from the manufacturing industry, but we are knowledge
Yes.
workers.
Yes.
And this motivation 3.0, which is talk about autonomy, mastery, and purpose. I mean, nice book by Daniel H. Pink, Drive, very nice book. So he talks about these three things, and that is what people are looking for. I mean, they're okay to kind of compromise with some paychecks and all, but they want uh, a good work-life balance, a respect in the workplace. At least I follow that, and I know. I mean, when we talk about culture, everyone follows that. I mean, that is most important thing.
Correct. So because you picked up the word that I wanted to tell, when I unmuted myself last, uh, respect. If you see, okay, and I will put it one more thing to it. It is mutual respect which should be
Right,
there.
right.
Okay, and if you see the agile, it talks about it is one team, which is where we all started. That we are not talking about that who is a manager, who is a developer, who is a tester, who is this, that. It is one team who is ultimately presenting and showing that it is we are going to do in the agile. Whenever we are talking about that we are going to do a presentation, it is one team which is going, and that is where that is what we follow, and everyone should follow, and that is the ground rule which I feel. The moment you bring that whatever work, whether it is a middle management or even the most newbies which are there in our industries, you can call them in as Gen Zs or whoever, you can talk to them in different languages and so forth, but the moment you tell them that whatever you are doing is important to me, without your one zigzag, my entire thing will be uncompleted, it will be incomplete, and that is what it brings a onus of pride and support that they can bring to you. And that is what I think we are talking about, from our senior management to the middle level, and then coming down to the who are pretty new in this industry. So that mutual respect is something we should follow. I'm sure everyone is doing that, and that is what we are talking. But that is a key aspect which Agile has also talked about. While they have not specifically spoken about that word, but that is what they are talking about. It that it is one team.
Nagesh, I think I'll take this opportunity to bring up one more thing. Sorry if I'm
No
pitching
worries, don't say
in.
sorry.
Yeah. And Ankur, I apologize. I actually interrupted you when you had started because there was a train of thoughts in my mind, and that's where I jumped in.
Just for
Sorry
that
about
is absolutely.
that.
Please go ahead. Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead with your thoughts.
So what I was trying to bring up is, I'm sure you would agree, you all rather would agree. There's this misconception about cross functionality also, which
Right,
causes troubles in the culture. Okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
So I keep hearing from teams saying, "Oh, मुझे अभी test automation सीखना है." क्यों? Manager ने बोला everyone has to do everything. Manager ने बोला है, manager has called it out. Everybody has to do everything. I mean, to me, if you look at what cross functionality is, it doesn't mean everybody has to be a full stack developer. No. If you know anything and everything end to end, well and good, fine. You're welcome to the team being a full stack developer. But like Ankur touched upon the point of respect, you have to respect that person's talent, that person's skills, nurture it. And as Saroj was mentioning about empowering people, taking care of your people, and when it comes to suddenly asking someone to swim 27 kilometers from one island in Mumbai to another, and that person is not a able swimmer, no, that's not cross functionality. Sorry, right?
Absolutely, Jaspal. Very well
Absolutely, right,
articulated.
right.
Correct.
Yeah, it happened with me also. I was this is way back 2010. I was put in a project where I had to do coding in .NET, and I was not properly trained on it, and then I lost it. I failed. I have no shame saying that I failed, because I didn't fail because of lack of my ability or lack of skills. I failed because of someone who misinterpret cross functionality. You know, they said that you have to do it. I said no. I was never trained for this, or I was not even, this is, again, these are not my interest. You know, I'm if you willing to experiment, you give me that leverage, you give me that kind of a breathing space where, you don't want, I cannot be project ready tomorrow as you are expecting. And eventually I had to get, I have to go out of the project. So see, this is something which is we learn in a bad or sad way or in a negative way from Agile. No, you learn. So, but there was a learning. So I had to go back to drawing book and then learn what is cross functionality and how it is. So now I make sure that I doesn't make this mistake when I'm talking to people, that what is cross functionality. That's the thing that I understood. Your understanding, my understanding should be the same. And I'm going back to, I'm connecting two different topic, one which is brought by Meghna about experimenting, and then how we are growing up. So we all learn while doing, about shuhari. What shuhari says. So when you are at the first initial level, you follow the rules, you read the rules, you follow the rules, and then you, but when you grow up in the ladder, you start experimenting. So that experimenting, uh, or experimentation, I will say, plays a big part uh, in, Agile. So I would like to hear all of your views, that how you feel that experimenting is important, and how it is changing teams, culture, or the shape of your Agile team or shape of your Agile project.
Maybe I would like to share something on that.
Sure.
Further adding on to something which I mentioned earlier on. So experimentation, for sure, yes, I think we all definitely feel it's so important. Especially one thing to consider when you are experimenting as a team, and a lot of recommendations, a lot of best practices that we find are around how do we work together as a team. So when you're out to experiment as a team, get everyone along. Like the example from your side, Nagesh, it's more about whether you wanted to pick uh, the full stack aspect of it, or you wanted to get into test automation, to Jaspal's example, I suppose. Whether personally you wanted to develop that skill or not. So it's also about understanding what motivates people in the team.
Agree.
And giving them their best space, whatever is possible. So some people might want to do that genuinely, even if they don't know how to do it. So it is about that. It's about finding that best spot out of what the team needs in terms of experimentation, and also what people are willing to experiment, because not every experiment will be successful. So are we willing to take that and learn and move ahead? Of course, it's a personal thing whether someone wants to do it or not. So in short, recommendation would be also to finding out what are the motivators for our team members or people whom we work with, because that will be the best blend that you can achieve. That being said, we don't live in an ideal world, but wherever we have opportunity, we can balance these things.
I absolutely agree with you, Meghna. I mean, wherever a person feels, I should get into, say, for example, being a DevOps engineer, there's no opportunity, or there's uh, no support from the manager or whoever. Now, this person might have that in the mind, but just because of being in the job, and there are some certain other aspects. This person continues. That's a different story. And then this calls out for the managers as well, or the leadership team, to promote a culture wherein identify the skills, put people in those areas. As Nagesh was mentioning, he wanted to do something, but he was not trained. Perhaps he could have succeeded, but he failed because he was just thrown into the water. In my example, this person did not want to get into test automation
Oh,
because his skills were mismatch, and he just did not happen to have that inclination. He
Exactly.
tried.
It's more about
and-
that. The skills
Exactly.
can be developed if
Exactly.
inclination is there.
Yeah. So inclination was not there, you know. So it caused uh, sourness in the team. This person ultimately left the team, and so forth. So this is a very important aspect while building or developing culture of the place, right? So yeah.
Vikas, you want to add anything? Saroj?
I think we move back to that discussion again, then put your people first and then processes. Because nowadays, organizations, they are adapting different kind of skill matrices. And then earlier it was T-shaped skills. Now they are focusing towards pie-shaped skills, where you need to have at least one or two deep knowledge about skills, and then rest of them you kind of know, and then you grow yourself and you adapt to the condition and to the project, whatever demand is. But again, it is agreed, it should be first discussed with the people what they want to achieve, and it should
Mm.
be on motivation that should come from within, from your people, and then you apply. You shouldn't be forcing or imposing
Yes.
your processes, like you have to move towards pie shaped skill and you have to develop this skill, because then you will lose your talent, your asset. So
Mm.
it is again, for me, it would be people over processes.
Absolutely. And quite importantly, thanks, Saroj, and thank you, Meghna, for touching those things around, how people can move forward towards not just people, teams, and organizations. So when we look at things around, most of the I'm not saying it is wrong, but most teams and organizations are after numbers.
Right.
But quite interestingly, it's a very basic thing. If you take care of your people, your numbers are taken care of. Very simple philosophy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
right.
Rakesh, I want to bring a little different aspect to it as well. Okay. While I completely agree with everyone, okay, out here, but I will, when Vikas was telling that people try to overcomplicate agile, okay, or they do not understand the essence why it is, okay, and try to just try to play with the words which are there. I will try
Hmm.
to connect two things as an example. If you see, there are the we started with when Jaspal was initially telling, or I think it was Meghna who was telling, that there is a face-to-face conversation which is being very clearly mentioned, and that is how it is. And now, earlier it was within the room, now it is either over Teams or Zoom or something else which is there. Okay. And very very specifically, there is something else also which is there, which is like minimum documentation which is there. Okay.
Absolutely.
If you see, both of them are very interrelated. Okay. If you are in a face to face conversation sitting in a room, okay, that means that you will get all the knowledge which is there, which is being imparted. Okay. And that was the purpose, so that the entire team is on the same page at any given point, any point of time. Okay. But and that is why there was minimum documentation. Now, with lot of scattered teams which are there in different time zones which are there, where the overlap may be less than couple of hours. Okay, you can still cannot have just only your minimum documentations. There has to be some place where you are transferring or you are collaborating together in some or the other ways. Okay, now what happens is, what I feel is that when people are trying to implement, okay, they will be very focused on both the things. Okay, while we do not have collaboration, and on the other hand I will also go with minimum documentation, because that is what Agile has mentioned. Okay, so people have to understand that when this manifesto was written, starting with the topic where we all started, that why it was with a purpose, and each and every aspect line which is written there is, these are interconnected and interrelated to it. Okay, so it is not in just that, okay, one line was something, but if you see whether it is manifesto, rules, values, all of them are very very related things. So you cannot try to implement that in just one go, one with one line, that this is what I, since Agile said I will maintain minimum documentation, since Agile said I will try to do this. Okay, that doesn't happen, then the output will not be there at all. Okay, and that is what I keep on telling to the teams wherever I try to have a conversation. Please try to understand, make it very simple. Okay, but at least implement what has been written, okay, initially, and then try to mold it as per your convenience which is there. Okay, so while little different from the topic, but yes, this is something that I have been seeing, that can be a change where people might have to understand and then make further changes to it.
Absolutely, certainly. It's a very nice and different view to look at the thing. Absolutely,
I'll
yeah,
go a
Vikas.
little more off topic then. So this actually, when we talk about processes, it reminds me the Cobra effect. So if you have heard about Cobra effect, so I'll just give a quick. So there is a story. So when British were in India, so in Delhi there was a menace of cobras, a lot of cobras. So they came up with a process like bring one cobra, we'll give you some money. And Indians, by nature, we are entrepreneurial mindset, so we started breeding cobras so that we get money from each cobra. And then later, Britisher they realized, okay, this is something they have gamed the system, so they stopped the scheme. And so the breeders, what they'll do with those cobras, they'll throw everything on the street. So now the process started to solve the problem of cobra. It actually increased this. So that is happen when we add the process without thinking whether we actually need it. For example, sometime when you see the delivery, the deployment was failed. Okay, what happened? Will the outcome is that will be they'll add one more process, one more layer
Hmm.
to solve that.
Hmm.
Then ask, okay, why you already had two processes, two checklists, why another one? No, because people they didn't follow, they missed to follow that. So what is the guarantee that they'll not miss the third one also? The problem is
Absolutely.
different. And the thing is, because you are asking that information too many times, people they are getting bored. And that is where the human error is coming. Some the error are missing. So when we are adding a process, we need to keep that also in mind. Some people, there is a discussion and debate AI and all, bring chat GPT in coding and all, but do you actually need that? If you want to increase your time to market, it is not only the delivery, speed of delivery, it is speed of deployment also. So whether your IT, the operations, they are capable to manage those delivery, the volume of delivery, your, the deliverables you have, so that the DevSec ops and all. Just before this, and that's why I was late, Nagesh. I was into another session. There was a
I was
DevOps.
listening that. I was
You
listening
were in
that.
that. You were in that culture thing. Yeah, she
Yeah, yeah,
explained
yeah. I
what I
was
think,
there.
right? So we are focusing on. So we need to think holistically about whenever we are bringing new process and when we are experimenting also. Because when we just try to use put only one what do you call lever, it will not create the outcome. You need to
Outcome.
all the
Absolutely.
levers, and again, people are the center of all these things.
Yeah. So again, I'll divert to some different topic, but we'll bring it back to Agile. We are a big fan of tools, and someone said that is a fool with the tool is always a fool. It still remain. So, and you should know how to use tools. So I'll share one of my stories of, like Vikas said. So there was something which is I want from team ABC, and tools like Jira provides you that facility. You add a date there. You know, there is a date, so you add it. Now, this team was not using that date facility, that the feature that is being provided by Jira. So I explained it. This has been already there. You need not to do anything. You know, again, need not to reinvent, which is already there. Okay, that's fine. We adopt it, and then people started using it, and then someone come up with the saying that, okay, that is your date. Now, what was my date? I want that date also into the system. Okay, and now they have created a custom field of your date, my date, and then the debate started again that which date we are going to follow now. So, like you mentioned, Cobra effect. Now there are too many dates. Now which one is to follow? Now what if I cross this date and your team follow across? So full chaos. It was so chaotic. Eventually, I had to give a suggestion that you stop using both the dates, and so that kind of things happens when you don't think uh, properly, or think through, or people are trying to get uh, do magic in one day. So it's or take Agile
Or
in a
you have
different way.
process for process sake.
Yeah.
Yes, process for process sake. Yes. So yeah, we are going nicely. We are having so many discussions. So I just create small notes here. What are some of the things that can be take away from this revisit. After revisiting this Agile Manifesto, we largely discuss about culture, uh, how it is impacting, also experimenting. I really like that topic, experimenting. Let's experiment and let's see how things can be done differently. Psychological safety is key. I've experienced it. I've spoke a lot about it, not on my podcast, just also in conferences. Collaboration, yes, it's very important, collaboration. So these are some of the key takeaways from our today's discussion. Yeah.
I think,
Ankur, one key takeaway from your side. Vikas, I'll come to you.
no, sorry. I think in that you missed the context part
Yeah,
also.
yeah. So context also. The context is important. I'll make a note of it. So,
That
Ankur,
Nagesh.
one key takeaway from our today's discussion.
I think it is time that we start thinking with all these aspects, that how we can start using Agile not only in the software industry but across. Because we have been talking about the software industry part because we all belong to it. Okay, um, but slowly we might have to think that how it can be expanded a little more with a human touch into it. Okay, and that is what I think we have been discussing. So human touch is something that will be important, and how to expand it across the other industries as well.
Great. Human touch. I'll taking note. Saroj, one key takeaway from your side.
Don't run behind processes. Keep people first, and always don't be rigid about processes, and understand the context and make the changes.
Great. Great. Meghna, one key takeaway.
I think success in any product development and services alike is a mix of the human factor, very, very important, and the guidance, call it frameworks, principles, and what have you. And of course, how we bring these two together to drive better business results. So it's about coexistence of these things. And that's where we need to be very, very contextual, very, very particular in what we really want to do and how. So these things matter much more than following a particular playbook.
Great. Jaspal.
Yeah, I think all of you have called it out end to end. People, culture, collaboration, communication, so many things. And Meghna also called out delivering value, be it
Value,
products
yes.
or services or whatever. And adaptability, I think that's one key takeaway, right? Adaptability. You need to be very, very adaptable, right? So,
Right.
yeah.
Great. Vikas.
I'll use so inspect and adapt.
Yes. Again, thanks a lot, all of you, for joining on my 25th episode. It was a great discussion. I really liked the way we discuss or brought a lot of discussion or a lot of points together, to revisit going through those values and principles, and then how there are few things that we can enhance on top of it. We cannot forget the core. The core should remain as it is. Let's not touch that, but let's bring something which is important, which is maybe it's not written overtly in that, explicitly in that document, but you understand it and write it down and make sure that it is being explained and understood by your team. Some of the topics like psychological safety, collaboration is already there in the manifesto, but psychological safety is not clearly written, or culture specifically. So that those are the key takeaways for me, that we are discussing about psychological safety and culture. So once again, I really want to say thanks from bottom of my heart to all of you to coming together and really making my
Thank you.
this
this 25th episode a big episode. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, Nagesh. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Lovely meeting you and talking about this topic, which is close to everybody's heart.
True.
Thank you all.
Amazing interaction and some really nice perspectives.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.